Welcome to the lineup card, episode 9. We have a very special guest with us, Blake Jamieson from the Tops Project series. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Start things off, can you tell us about how you got involved with Tops to begin with in Project 2020?
Sure. So I had been focused on painting portraits of athletes for a couple years, and in I guess it was late or middle of 2019, Tops reached out to me just through like the contact form on my website. They had seen some of the work that I'd done and invited me to be a part of Project 2020, which changed my life.
Yeah.
And here we are on the third set now with Project 70 with Tops, and it's been going great. They're my favorite client ever.
Yeah. And can you tell us what kind of a typical day is like for you with Project 70 now and how it may differ from when Project 2020 started?
With both projects, 2020 and Project 70, I have a new card dropping roughly every 2 weeks or so. And so I am very much do things right before the deadline, procrastinate kind of thing. So like, for example, like tomorrow at 7 a.m., I'm leaving for the National, and I had to do a Tops card before I left for the National, and I like just finished it, and it's literally like still drying on the
That is awesome.
Nice.
So cool.
right there.
Yeah.
I'm big for the picture too.
Yeah. So about every 2 weeks, I have to do a Tops card, and I knock that out right before it's due. Typically, I paint pretty fast. Like I did this whole painting start to finish today, but I didn't do much else. So if I need to get a painting done in a day, I can make that happen. So every 2 weeks I'm doing a Tops card, and all the other days are, every day is different. I do quite a bit of commissions where someone will hire me to paint something, give me a subject and potentially like the colors that they want. I do a lot of like digital marketing. I had a background in digital marketing before I joined the Tops, or before I started painting full time. I worked in marketing, and so I still put a lot of time in just engaging and like building community online. So I spend a lot of time on Twitter every single day, and Instagram.
Yeah.
And yeah, painting, commissions, marketing, and painting just fun things for myself kind of fill my days.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so for viewers that aren't aware of the differences between Project 2020 and 70, you have a lot of freedom to choose your art, to choose your subjects in this series, whereas you had the rookie cards from last year. What were some of your favorite pieces to create from last year, and what are some that you have that you really love and enjoy this year?
Sure. Definitely my favorite piece from Project 2020 was Mcguire, who is my favorite,
Heard that. Yeah.
my favorite athlete of all time,
Yeah.
by far. So I grew up watching him come up from the minors and play out for the A's for a long time. I'm from the Bay Area.
Mhm.
So he was the one that I was most looking forward to, and also my favorite card that I did within that project. Project 70 is, like you said, very different in that we can choose all of our own subjects. And so this most recent one, Bobby Valentine, it was chosen specifically because of this childhood experience that I had meeting him at spring training in Florida. And one of the previous cards that I had done, Brooks Robinson, I actually met at the same spring training fantasy camp. And so this year I'm, especially even like later, like now we're getting later into the set, I'm much more picking things that have like meaning to me and like just a fun story. And I'm not I'm not concerned with like doing the mega stars and trying to get like super high print runs. We had some wild print runs last year, with the trout that you have out there. And so, yeah, that trout probably will have more printed. That one card had more printed than probably my entire Project 70 set will have. It was just part of the magic last year. So this year I'm focused on the stories.
And obviously with it coming out during when COVID was ramping up and it really was affecting everyone everywhere, how did that kind of take your mind off of things going on and ultimately, the good things that came out of it with Project 2020?
Yeah, I think I have spent a long time. So I've been full-time painter for 6 years, and very much of that 6 years has been what other people call self-quarantine. And when COVID happened and I realized that everybody just had to like stay at home and do their own thing, I was like a little bit relieved because I didn't have the pressure to like go out and meet people and, go out to events and show up. I could just stay in my studio and paint. And I really have enjoyed doing that for the last 6 years. So COVID didn't affect me nearly as much as I think it did other people, but it affected me in that like it let other people stop bothering me to like come hang out, which was really nice, and I needed it. And now that hopefully we're coming out of the backside of it, I'm finally in a spot where I'm excited to start going out into the world like, again a little bit. And tomorrow I head to the National, so I'm very excited to meet some people in person, and everybody that I've been talking to online for the last couple of years it's gonna be a blast.
I think we all wish we could go there. We're gonna try to go to the one in Atlantic City when it comes back around.
Yeah, that's next year, right?
Hopefully, see what happens, but hopefully.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We actually go to card shows locally, and there's been some that come up here and there, but it's such a great scene being around people again, and with you especially, you're always so much so interacting with your fans online and people in general. How much does that play into being an artist in today's generation that others may not have been able to experience?
Yeah, I mean, I had a fortunate path to have the experience that I did in digital marketing and be building community on behalf of other brands. Showed me how important it is. Mm-hmm. And so when I started doing my own thing and something I'm really passionate about, it's really easy for me to talk with people about it. And if it connects, if the cards or my art resonates with people, those are fun conversations to have. And so because of like my background in the marketing, I've always had like a community first kind of mindset as far as staying in touch with my customers and trying to understand what they're inspired by, what they like. The fans drove a lot of artistic decisions last year with how I made some of my Project 2020 cards. This year has been a little bit more just myself doing what I want to do because, like I said, I want to like tap into the stories. But
yeah,
it's good. It's a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, like I just end up with a bunch of friends, which is a fun spot to be in.
And yeah, I mean, I think you're part of the Project 2020 group on Facebook. I know that has grown a lot, and just the community orientation that this all brings it helped so much last year, and it's grown so much. And
see, both of us got into the project series in Project 2020 pretty early, not very early.
Yeah.
I had gotten in when the Trout card was released by Ben Baller, and then he had gotten in shortly after that for a Jeter card released by Greg Siff.
Yep.
From that point on, we've been in it ever since. So
yeah, the Mike Trout Ben Baller was like a big step forward, for the project, because that like crushed. That was like 34,000 print run, and that was like a massive number, like by far. Because coming into Project 2020, I had asked Topps kind of just to set my own expectations for print runs, and they were talking about comparing it to like a Topps Now product, where at the time on the low end a print run would be 200, and on a super high end, like the highest card at the time was like 20,000 on some Derek Jeter card, but like the average was like between 200 and 2,000. So that's what I had expected within Project 2020. So I remember when Ben called me and he told me he knew that he had done, like, he broke 30K like before it was like announced. He called and like was like, showboating, and I'm like, this is insane. It's about to get wild.
That's awesome.
And then also like Ben was involved in the Trout card that I did. He did the border, and it was a wild roller coaster of a year, man.
I believe it. And being able to collaborate with artists in last year's set and now Project 70, who are some artists that you've been able to work with? I know you worked with FDOT and some others in the area. Who are you most excited about, and who do you look forward to hopefully collaborating with in the future?
Yeah, well, Gregory Siff has been one of my favorite artists for the 6 years I've been doing art. Wow. And for the first 4 years of that relationship, if you can call it that, I was just watching from afar and just like mesmerized by everything he does, and just like I aspired to be Gregory Siff in a lot of ways. And so when Topps Project 2020 kind of put us in the same room, and we were able to kind of build this relationship and now like a legit friendship. I mean, that's like mind blowing. And that's something too, that when I was going into the project, I didn't anticipate like the connections I would make with other artists. I was just thinking, okay, I'm going to get my art into more homes, you know, rekindle my love for collecting baseball cards, because I grew up collecting and I was excited to get back into it. But yeah, the relationships with other artists was was a surprise. As far as in Project 70, building a relationship with DJ Ski has been awesome. I would love to do some type of collab with him. He's going to be at the National. Very excited to meet him in person, because I still haven't linked up with him in person. Man, Naturel too from last year is like, I hadn't known his work before Project 2020, but I like fell in love with his work. I'd say if I had to pick like a favorite artist of the project, I think like his set is just so clean. His work is just so beautiful. Yeah, Distorted this year, Lauren Taylor. I love seeing like more female representation in like the sports art industry, and so as much as I can do to kind of support that, whether it's with collaboration or in whatever ways possible. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Snoop Dogg would be sick to collab with. I haven't got to talk to Snoop yet, but he'd be a moonshot.
He's kind of been incognito throughout this set so far, but
yeah,
we
Ron too. I love Ron. Ron English's art is just bananas. I actually have one like hanging in my house, in the kitchen. I would love to connect with him. Risk as well. Risk is like a super OG in the graffiti world. So yeah, I mean, there's so much talent. And like even last year with only 20 people, I didn't get to really build like friendships with everyone. I got maybe with half of them. And so now with this pool of 51 people, it's really tough to navigate that, you know?
So each episode, we kind of talk about last week's print run, or not print runs, Project 70 cards.
Yep.
Which one stood out to you specifically? I don't know if you have a list of what dropped last week.
Yeah, well, the Otani Naturel was gorgeous. And that's like, and also like Otani is the poster boy of baseball right now too. And so that was like a really well-timed card. I think it performed really well, and seeing that print run was awesome. I also really enjoyed F Dot's. He did the dual card with the two players that were like high-fiving.
Yep.
And that was cool. That was almost like remind me of like a stained glass kind of windows, just the styles. It's really been fun seeing F Dot, his art evolve and grow. All of our art evolves and grows, but really I think he's getting really comfortable in the baseball space and having a good time, which is fun to see.
So do you kind of have your own collection, or do you just kind of buy what you like, get what you like, and just support whoever you can and want?
Yeah, I have a massive collection. I've definitely, like last year for Project 2020, I did 2 full sets, and then there were so many cards that I just bought 10 packs of just because I wanted to support the artist. Like I have an insanely large collection basically up in like the storage in the attic. Like it's so hard to store those. But I'm like betting on, any of those artists blow up. Those are going to be some really cool and valuable collectibles.
Have you hit any foils this year?
I've hit a few foils. Let's see. I hit a Shoe Surgeon Ken Griffey Jr., which was pretty cool.
Card.
I hit a Naturel Juan Soto foil. And I hit a Gregory Siff Daryl Strawberry. And those are the only 3 foils I've hit outside of my own cards. But I've hit foils on all my own cards because I'm buying usually between 100 and 200 of them.
Makes sense.
And those, you have your signatures that you offer to your fans.
I do. Yeah, I did that. I was really early on that in Project 2020, and it was great. Like there was a time when I couldn't keep things on the shelf. Any auto I put up, whatever edition size, they would just be gone. And because of that, and I also like got a bunch of fans being like bummed that they like couldn't even get an autograph because they sold so fast. And so I just kept increasing that number. And so I definitely saturated the market last year with my own autographs, which is fine. It gets a lot of people invested in like my career and my success, which I think is great. But what that translated to is now in Project 70, I'm not nearly as focused on doing the autographed versions. And so I do release them. Usually I'm like never in a hurry to do it. And if I do, I'll do like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Just for the super fans of like that player, because at the end of the day, like anybody that wants a Blake Jamieson autograph and has been following me for a year, like definitely has 5 of them, which is great. But yeah, I do the autographs, but also like, you know, like I said, I'm buying like 100 to 200 of my cards this year. Last year on Project 2020, like for the trout, I think I bought 1,200 trouts.
Wow.
And I probably have 600 of them in the same attic, you know, still sitting there. And that's like me betting on myself. I think that like that early first set is going to be special. I mean, I think it is special, but I think it's going to become more and more special as my art career progresses. And also if I like continue to stay in the card game and working with Topps, which I plan to, that first one will just become, you know, more iconic the more sets I do.
And you also have the 1951 mini set.
Yep.
How did that come to fruition? And can you tell us a little bit how that went down?
Sure. So in, I'd say like June, July of 2020, which is, you know, peak like popularity of projects, Topps expressed interest in like doing something beyond 2020 with me, and asked if I had any ideas that I could basically just bring them ideas and then we could figure it out. And the first idea was doing, you know, the T206 top set. I wanted to do like my own wave of T206 and call it B206. And for a while, we both thought that was going to happen. And then ultimately the Topps execs decided they wanted to kind of keep that. They won't do the T206, but we have this 1951 set that came out. You know, there's our first MLB licensed set 70 years ago, and we could launch the year with you doing your own version of that set. So that was how that came out, and that was awesome. I mean, because of the back and forth, that didn't get like finalized until like November, late November, and it was due like January 1st, and so like I basically just spent the entire December just painting just those 52 paintings or 51 paintings.
Yeah. And going back to how you choose your subjects, do you kind of get a list of players that you can choose from, or do you ask for permission for players, or how does that go into it?
Yeah, Topps has a list of both active and retired players that are kind of eligible. And for the most part, everybody is. There's a few people that are blackballed from baseball, more because of MLB than because of Topps.
Right.
Pete Rose, for example, who I was really hoping to paint. But yeah, Topps has been really great. Even like actively seeking out new licenses with people like this Bobby Valentine that I painted. We actually don't have the rights to it yet. Topps is like working on it, and I just need to be ready just in case, because I'm going to be gone all week at the National, and I'm not going to have time to paint anything while I'm there.
That's
but they've been really good. Like in general, the list is really big, and if there's somebody that's not on the list, unless it's Pete Rose, I can like request it, and then they'll go to work for me.
What made you pick Brett Phillips? That card was awesome.
And he just, I feel like right now, outside of like Ohtani killing it and being like the poster boy of baseball, Brett Phillips is like the poster boy of baseball being fun. And like, you know, when he pitched a couple weeks ago, was just such a fun thing to watch. And it's rare that like you end up watching a game of baseball that's like 10-1 and it's actually like still fun to watch in the 9th inning. Like that never happens. And so the fact that he was able to make that happen was pretty special, and I just wanted to give him some props.
It was cool, for sure.
Yeah. We've like engaged a little bit over Instagram. I'm hoping we do some dual autographed cards on those ones. He's super excited to get the cards. He was like promoting it, and that card did well. I think like given where we're at with like print run and the set and the collector base, I think that was a really strong showing for that card, which is really cool.
And have any other athletes, seen your card so far in Project 70 and reached out and been like, oh, that's really cool, like Acuna or like Buster Posey or any of those guys?
I haven't connected with Acuna or Buster. Certainly would love to. I did speak with Brooks Robinson on the phone a couple weeks ago after that card came out.
Wow, that's
Bobby Valentine. I had met him at this spring training fantasy camp in Florida when I was 4 or 5 years old, and have some fun stories from my dad. But yeah, I mean, last year, like Mark Mcguire, connecting with him after that card had come out, and he's still like, he's a great dude, and now like a friend, which is wild.
wow. It's like a
Now
dream come true.
He's your PC, right?
He's my PC. Yeah, I collect. He's primarily the only baseball player I really collect, but I collect John Morant, and I collect Josh Jacobs.
What do you have of John Morant?
A big box. I've got like a pretty solid rookie rainbow, not the whole thing, but like I don't know, 4 or 5 of the color variations of the rookie card. Yeah, it's just like a fun thing. Same thing, like he's just like really fun to watch play, like Brett Phillips, just fun energy in sports, and those are the type of people that I love to support.
Of course. And we have here the collaboration you did with Matt Rosen.
Yep.
What was that like, and how did that come together? Are you guys friends from the past, or how did that come together?
Yeah, so we met during Projects 2020. Loved his work. Had ordered a couple, actually a Griffey and a Jose Canseco card from his site, and got to see it in person. His work is just, it's so cool. Like it's rare when I see an artist's work, and if I can like touch it and feel it and look close at it, like I can usually figure out how they did it. I mean, like, okay, I like whether or not not that I could do it, just like I just understand mechanically like how they made that possible. And Matthew Lee Rosen is one of those guys where he puts out stuff that I'm like, I don't know how he does it, man. It's like magic. It's really cool. And so he had reached out to me suggesting some type of collab. I said, let's do Mark Mcguire because that's my boy, and the rest is history. So he did his part, the bubblegum art on the back. He also had those custom French fry containers made, and shipped them all to me. And then and I did my thing, doing some splatter paint on the front, and then we got to send a few of them to Mark to keep, which is awesome.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And so, kind of shifting gears here, we know you grew up in California, in the Bay Area. Were you a Giants fan, even though Mark Mcguire was your favorite player, or were you an A's fan?
Yeah, so I grew up with season tickets to the A's, and we were kind of equidistant. We were in Marin County, which is north of San Francisco, and so going across the bridge to Oakland or the Golden Gate to San Francisco with like same distance. But at the time, A's were playing at Candlestick, and it was just super cold, and so the Coliseum was just warmer. And so that's literally, like, I asked my dad, much later in life, like, why do we end up A's fans and not Giants fans? And he's like, just because Candlestick was way too cold.
That's great.
So, yeah. So that's how I ended up. I mean, ultimately, like, we like both teams, and have always, as far as I can remember. I only remember we hated the Dodgers and we hated the Yankees. Those were the enemies.
Mutual. Yeah. Mutual.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Jimmy and I are Yankees
We're
fans.
Yankees fans.
No, I'm a Yankees fan now.
I'm a winner. I'm a Dodgers fan. Join the winning side. You're in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
That's Queens. That's Queens territory.
I know. I'm a fan now. Like, I'm a fan of every team, and a lot of it is because I'm a fan of players more so than the organizations they're a part of. And so I meet great players on all teams, and I just like those people. So whoever they're playing for, I'll root for them.
Yeah. And upcoming for the national, what do you have planned? And will you be, having your own table? Will you be walking around? What's on tap for that for you?
A lot of walking around. I'm coming with a couple staff, and we'll be in the building. We have a few different activations at different tables. So on Wednesday, let's see, we get there on Wednesday. Thursday morning, I'm doing an auction at 11 a.m. at a company called Whatnot. It's like a whole auction platform. Later that day on Thursday at 3:30, I'm doing an appearance at the Topps booth with Lauren Taylor and Ben Baller. And then Thursday night, late night, at the hotel, or at the convention center, like in one of the conference rooms, we're doing like a trade night for Project 70 and Project 2020, which would be awesome.
I wish we could go.
It's gonna be a blast. And then on Saturday, I'm doing live painting at the Pristine auction booth. And so we have kind of those four things anchored, and I'm sure we're gonna find, other cool stuff to fill all the gaps with.
Cool. And you mentioned live painting. Will that be with the spray paint that you do, and tell us kind of about that process? I know you show it a lot on your Instagram. It's such a neat thing to watch you do.
So there I will be painting 3 portraits at the auction booth, Pristine auction. I'm doing Bo Jackson, Magic Johnson, Nolan Ryan, and will be primarily spray paint, a little bit acrylic. I have like 4. If I'm doing live events like in person like that, I use a different type of spray paint that's sugar based, and so it's non-toxic, so people don't have to worry about the fumes. But yeah, it should be a blast, and all of that too. Like, I'm sure that we'll live stream it too, so if people even aren't at the national, they could watch the magic happen live.
Cool. And what are some other mediums that you use? I mean, maybe not Topps project related, but in your spare time, or that kind of led you to what you do now that you're mastering with?
Yeah, I mean, spray paint is definitely my most. Spray paint is in everything that I do. I'll use acrylic sometimes, doing like mixed media collage sometimes as well. But yeah, I mean, I really stick to the basics. Spray paint, which ultimately was kind of inspired by street art and graffiti, which I've just always enjoyed, and now bringing it to the sports card world.
Of course, yeah. And there's some other artists that do that style that it's cool to see the different styles throughout Project 2020, Project 70. And do you kind of have an inspiration behind your work in general as an artist, or do you kind of take pride in being like a one of one?
I have a handful of inspirations. I think like stylistically, Shepard Fairey is a huge inspiration. Banksy, both of which use a lot of stencils and spray paint.
Yeah.
And then from like a brand building perspective, looking at someone like Gregory Siff, or Andy Warhol, phenomenal brand builder. Shepard Fairey kind of crossed that bridge too. I think he's done a really good job building his brand. So yeah, there's inspirations both from a business standpoint as well as from actual like art.
Right. And with now a lot of things have shifted to digital, to NFTs. Yogi here is very well versed in the NFT community, and more so than Jimmy and I are. So we'll let him pick your brain about that, because it's really interesting to kind of see how things have taken off even in the past 6 months. What can you tell us about that part of art and how
And
you
your
got
involvement, I guess, as in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's NFTs have been great, and it's always good when an artist can find new revenue streams. And NFTs has certainly opened up new revenue streams for a lot of artists, and I think it'll be a part of the collectible industry as a whole for the rest of our lives.
Oh, big time. Do you have any, I guess, brand name collectibles or NFTs that you collect or have in your ETH wallets, or how many ETH wallets do you have? It's a funny question because only us two out of this group.
I have a handful of wallets. My primary, just like one that I collect art with, and then I have another that I store all my like .eth domains anything from like Unstoppable Domains or ENS. I'll just keep in there just to try and keep my art gallery a little cleaner.
Yeah.
And then I have like a few different like project wallets where I did like a collaboration with Terrell Owens that has its own wallet, and another one we have launching with Tim Thomas, a hockey goalie, that has its own wallet. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just like collecting physical art to me. Like I buy what I believe like in the artist. I'm not attached to a particular piece of art from anyone, from myself or from another artist. I'm just attached to that artist and their story and believing in them. And so, you know, I encourage a lot of artists that I really admire to give NFTs a shot. And then I was their first customer and buying their early NFTs. And I'm just holding that until I believe their careers are going to take off, and then NFTs are going to take off. And all of a sudden I'll be having you know, a wallet full of assets.
So do you have a Bored Ape yet? Or I know you were trying to get in touch with Pranksy at one point to maybe trade to get one, or how did that work out?
I'm still trying to get an ape. I did get one of the dogs, the companions, and I love the dog that I got.
Kennel Club?
Yeah, exactly. I'm bummed because I did really well selling NFTs in Q1, and I made a bunch of ETH, and then I basically took all that ETH and I just bought other people's projects and supported other artists, and I spent all the ETH that I had made. And then I was told about Bored Apes like right when it launched, and I had the opportunity to buy as many as many as I wanted at the time for, was it 0.08?
Yeah, at the time it was.
And but at the time I didn't have a ton of ETH just like sitting anymore. At one point I was just flush with ETH and I would just buy anything. And then by that time I got tipped off to that, I'm like, I'll just get one later. And then they just like really took off.
Yeah.
And now they're all, they're expensive. They're out of my price range right now.
I think the floor is like 9 or 10 at this current moment.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's like a car. I guess, are there any new upcoming projects that you've maybe had your eye on? Like I personally have a Cool Cat.
Yeah.
You know Cool Cats are
I'm familiar with Cool Cats. I really like the company Zen FT. They did the bonsai,
those are
bonsai
sweet.
trees.
Yeah, the bonsai trees are dope.
So we got a couple of those, and that was just like a really, really smooth launch. And just, I think that every launch in the NFT space, to be expected, it's a new space, but like it's always had problems. Like I love Zed Run, but their drops are just the worst. Like it's a nightmare. Every time they do a drop, it's like so stressful. I believe in them long term. I think like I've got a few horses in my stable. I think that'll be it's a fun investment, and that one has like the game kind of powering behind it. But yeah, I mean, I guess Zed Run and Zen FT.
Zen FT, I like those two. What about pills? Do you have any pills?
Mm-mm.
No. There's like
Is that an artist?
no, it was like this generative project where they had bonsai trees in like half the capsule.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like a little collab that I guess Zen FT did with that artist.
Nice.
Totally busted project. Like the price of them just went downhill entirely, but still kind of cool. I don't have any, but I'm on the Cool Cats train entirely. And then I think who is it? Mila Kunis and Zach or Ashton Kutcher. We currently have this project, Stoner Cats, coming out.
Nice.
With like a token gated TV show. Just
Reunited.
yeah, exactly. Do you have any NBA Top Shots at all, or any John Morant Top Shots, or no?
I do. I have not a huge Top Shot guy, but I've got a couple dozen moments. Nothing crazy, but got a couple Jaws, couple Kevin Durant's, which I'm a fan of. I'm a Warriors fan, so I liked him on the Warriors, and now I'm in Brooklyn, so
Yeah, that works out pretty well. Have you been able to catch the Nets in person yet?
I have not. I live very close to the Atlantic Terminal or whatever in Barclays. Yeah, it's like a mile down the street that way, but haven't been yet.
They got a good team. I'm sure next year you'll be able to get out there. But going back to NFTs, I'm curious what the creation process is like. Do you physically make the art and then turn it digital, or is there a process? What's the process like?
Yeah, usually I'm just it's the same as when I make a piece of art for Tops, and then I photograph it and then I send it to them digitally so they can print a card. Same thing, just taking a digital version of a physical painting.
Right on, right on. And upcoming, where do you see Project 70, when it's all finished? Because we've actually spoken about in previous episodes of how it would be really cool to implement artists in sets, like how you were hopeful of doing the T206 set. We thought, we were spitballing like F. being part of Heritage, doing cool inserts. And what is your opinion on that, and what you foresee happening when Project 70 is all finished?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. Like we have Tyson Beck is in the Top Spire,
Yep.
has all those parallels. I have a pretty massive Tyson Beck collection. Yeah, that would be fun to see. I think like at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the artist to push proposals basically to Tops for whatever they want to do. So I'm certainly plan on putting some proposals together for Tops as we get closer to the end of this set. We're only at card 400 out of like 1,100, 1,200 cards. So we're still not even halfway, which is wild.
And to compare to 2020, there was only 400 cards in Project 2020. So just to give some perspective.
Yeah, that's
on
a
how
lot.
big
That's
the set is.
massive difference.
So what would you say? Would you say that you liked the concept of reimagining a rookie card, or the concept more of, picking your subjects and then creating it?
I like picking my subjects better, but part of that is now being on my third set and being really comfortable designing baseball cards allows me like the confidence to just pick a player, pick a moment, pick a photo, and then go to work and, be really excited about what I'm going to make. I think if it had been like that last year, I would have been a little bit more lost and needed a little bit of guidance from Tops on the first set. Like I did it from Tops saying, okay, you're going to do this Nolan Ryan rookie card, you're going to do this card, you're going to do this card. That was good to have those boundaries, I think, to get started.
And for Project 70, there's 32 new artists, because I think all but one returned to the set. Out of the new artists, did any kind of reach out to you since you were part of last year's and kind of to get acclimated, or how did it go about?
Nobody reached out to me, but I was proactive reaching out to other artists to try and build a relationship, like I did last year. So I've gotten close with Chuck Styles, Distorted, Alex Pardee, DJ Ski, Lauren Taylor, and like Lauren Taylor and I were friends during Project 2020. So it's exciting to see like a friend kind of coming into that project. New York Nico, he's a New York icon, which is great. But yeah, I mean, there's so many artists still that I haven't touched base with yet that I would love to. And, it's possible I see some of them at the National. I know that, F. Lauren Taylor, Ben Baller, and myself are going, and hopefully we see some other people there as well.
Of course.
Now, I have one question. Is there any card that if you saw at the National, you're stopping and you're dropping everything you could do it to get it? Is there, what's that card? Is there a guy, a player, nothing? There's nothing, there's no holy grail? Come on.
I don't think so, man. I think, I mean, that would be different if it were like I was at an art gallery and there's, there's an art piece. So I'd say if there are some other Tops art, whether it's Tops related or not, like if there's artists there that are doing art, I will stop what I'm doing and watch them do their thing. But I am simultaneously a hardcore collector in that, like, I will get any Mark Mcguire card that I possibly can, but I'm not sweating if I don't get it. It's just like, I just want to get, if I see something I don't have, I'll definitely try to buy it. But if it's out of my budget, then I'm like not worried about.
Now, do you pick up graded Mark Mcguire's? Because I feel like he's part of the junk wax, so like I feel like he's not too hard to find,
he's not hard to find. And my collection's huge. I mean, it's really rare that I see a card that I'm like, I know that I don't have that card.
Yeah.
It's like, auto patches, just stuff like that. But no, I don't really buy graded cards too much. I have a few Mark Mcguire's that I got graded. The 85 Team USA and the 87 rookie. And then just a couple other kind of like random ones. But yeah.
So you mentioned Team USA, the Olympics is going on. What sports are you interested other than baseball and the typical sports?
I watched some Olympic skateboarding.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool so far.
Yeah, I've watched very little Olympics in being getting ready for the national. I've just been in work mode and catching some highlights here and there, but yeah, skateboarding.
Nice. Do you skateboard yourself?
I like skate around, like longboard, not like I
Yeah.
don't go off ramps.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
What are some what were you saying?
No, you're good.
Other than Olympic sports, what are some other, you mentioned you enjoy basketball and baseball. Do you have a preference in football or hockey?
I like football a lot. I mean, I enjoy watching all of them. I definitely watch more football than anything else. And part of that is just because of most of my clients are football players.
Nice.
Before I did tops, I almost exclusively painted football athletes. And that wasn't by choice. It was just that was the niche that I ended up in. And once I have momentum, that just keeps falling in my lap. And so I have so many football clients that I like to watch play and keep up with during the season. And I'll usually go to a few games. And I played lacrosse in college, and I really like watching lacrosse, and I work with the PLL on some art stuff. And so I watch professional lacrosse when I can as well.
Cool. Yeah. Lacrosse is very popular here in New York.
Yep.
Popular as much so where in California, because where we grew up, actually, it's like one of the renowned high school lacrosse programs, and it was pretty important. Was that the important sport for your program growing up, or?
No, it was added as a high school sport my sophomore year of high school. And so I played the first year that my high school offered lacrosse. And we were definitely certainly behind the East Coast because of how prevalent it is out here. But yeah, I mean, it's growing fast on the West Coast, but it's still nothing like it is out here on the East Coast.
Of course, yeah. And just to go back to the NFTs and working with Terrell Owens, how did that come about? And do you have a personal relationship with that, or was it mainly just, strictly business, straight to the point? Or what was that like?
I have a good personal relationship with Terrell Owens' manager. And when NFTs really started popping off, I was talking to Max about doing a collaboration with one of his clients, and he has a pretty stacked client list. And T.O. is one of the names that came up. And I, grew up a Niners fan. I always see T.O. as a 49er and love him for that. And so it was exciting to chat with him about the project, and we just got along really well. And it's certainly, it's a business relationship, but he's a really good dude. And, we're close. We'll text a few times a week, checking in on stuff. We're also like actively building on the project that we started with him. So it keeps us in constant contact.
Now, do you paint like other like music or entertainers, or just kind of mainly sports?
I paint whatever people are ready to pay for.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So certainly my primary focus is sports, and that's just, again, because I have this momentum and I'm established in that industry, that's kind of what people know me for. So that's usually what they hire me for. But anybody can come to me and say, hey, I want you to paint Jerry Garcia, or I want you to paint Drake, or, it could be anything, their dog. I'll do it.
And cool. You have a motto, support living artists. Did you come up with that, or is that something that stuck with you early and you like to represent it?
I think I came up with it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm definitely not the only person to say it. And it's possible that I heard it from someone else, but I've been an advocate for supporting living artists as long as I can remember. And when someone taught it to me or I heard it from someone, I can't remember who. And I'm sorry to that person.
What's some advice that you would give to someone who's an independent artist, maybe just got out of school, trying to find their way into the community? What kind of advice would you give?
Just make as much shit as you can. It's the volume game. I think this is not even just in art. This could be in someone that's trying to start a business or do anything. Is like people are waiting for the perfect opportunity. They'll be like, oh, I'll start working out when I have this much money in the bank, or I'll start, doing XYZ when this other thing happens. Is never a perfect time. And so the best thing that you can do is just make stuff, whether that's artistically or building a business or recording a podcast or, doing anything. Just keep doing it over and over and over again.
And is that ultimately what led you to Brooklyn, or, how did you find your way there across the coast from California?
I had always wanted to live in New York and found myself at a time in my life when I could give it a shot. And that was 3 years ago. And it's been a fun 3 years. Yeah, or I guess 2 years, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. And do you have long-term plans to stay in New York, or do you plan on, going around traveling once, COVID's probably, calmed down?
I think I will maintain a presence in New York, a studio here, I hope, but ultimately I would like to be back on the West Coast. I miss California.
Is that where your family still resides?
Yeah.
Awesome. And having their support, I know they kind of pop up in the Facebook group, liking posts and whatnot. What does that mean to you to have your family fully on board with what you're doing?
The best. My family's been supportive the entire time that I've been doing art, and it's great. It's a family business.
Of course. And to kind of wrap things up, we would love to thank you and Tess for setting this up. It's been a pleasure to get you on the lineup card. We're very passionate about project, and it's just so great to talk to someone who's in it, who has been in it. And Jimmy and I, we talk to people at card shows. We introduce them to Project 70 or Project 2020, and just to have that as the building block between relationships, it's really special. And I think it's totally.
See, we seem to think there's going to be a lot of growth in that market. A lot of people in the card hobby specifically, a lot of people they don't know about it just yet. It's one of those things where you either know about it or you have no idea about it. It's one or the other. And when everybody finally, gets the knowledge, I think that's when everything is going to take off.
I'm the other. I didn't know about any of this until we started the podcast. I started collaborating with them. I'm more of a, niche, Bowman prospects collector, or, NFTs. Yeah, NFTs have been heavy on as of recent, just because I've been flipping whatnot here and there, whatever I can mint.
Nice.
Yeah, whatever I can flip.
Well,
right on.
Thank you so much, Blake, for coming on to the lineup card. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to be able to get to meet you in person one day and build on what we got today.
Yeah, Atlantic City next year, national.
Definitely.
We will plan on it. We will
be there. I will be there.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and enjoy the national.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, stay awesome.